Today we're going to be doing baby back rib. These are also called loin ribs, back ribs, or Canadian back ribs. They're taken from the top of the rib cage between the spine and the spare rib below the loin muscle. A few decades ago there was no market among American consumers for back ribs, and so they were very cheap. The rise of restaurants specializing in barbecue back ribs changed consumer attitudes about this cut, and today they're among the priciest of pork. They have meat between the bones and on top of the bones and are shorter, curved, and sometimes meatier than spare rib. The back rack is shorter at one end due to the natural tapering of the pig's rib cage. The shortest bones are typically about 3 inches or 7.6 centimeters, and the longest are usually about 6 inches or 15 centimeters, depending on the size of the hog. A rack of back ribs contains a minimum of 8 ribs, but can include up to 13, depending on how it was prepared by the butcher. A typical commercial rack is 10 to 13 bones. If there are fewer than 10 bones, butchers call those cheater racks. Attached to the back rack inside the rib cage is a membrane technically called the parietal pleura. Butchers may refer to it as the fel. Most of us just call it the membrane. It can be tough and is nearly impermeable to marinades, dry rub, wet rub, and mops. There are many YouTube videos showing how to remove the membrane yourself, but many racks, such as those sold at Costco, are now sold with the fel already removed. Today we are going to prepare our racks using 3 different recipes: oven baked with a honey apricot glaze, grilled with an Italian dressing marinade, and smoked using a smoker oven. Let's get started. Okay, so we've washed off our rack of ribs, and now we're going to cut them in half, and now we'll put it in the bag that we're going to use for our marinade. Okay, our marinade is a simple one. We take our ribs in a bag like this, and we're just going to add about a cup of apple cider to it and seal it up. And now we'll refrigerate it. Okay, our ribs have been marinating for a couple of hours now. Time to take them out of the apple juice. Put them in a baking dish, and we'll just sprinkle them with a little bit of brown sugar and rub that in a little bit. This is going to give them a nice sweet flavor. Now we're going to cover it with some aluminum foil, and we'll go put it in the oven. Okay, we're going to put our rack in the oven. We'll set the temperature now for 250 degrees. So the next thing we're going to do is make our sauce. I put about a tablespoon of honey in this little bowl, and to that I'm going to add about a tablespoon of cider vinegar and a couple of tablespoons of homemade apricot jam. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to stir it up until it's all nice and mixed together. Okay, after about 3 hours you want to open it up and spread the glaze on, and then increase the oven temperature to 350 degrees and glaze it every 10 minutes for the next hour. Okay, here's our ribs. Our ribs look nice and golden brown, and we can see how tender they look with the glaze on them. Let's cut them up. Look at this, fall off the bone tender. Perfect ribs, and very delicious, very sweet. Okay, so there you have it. Apricot glazed ribs. Now we'll grill ribs using an Aioli Italian marinade. This is really delicious and really easy to do. Stir up the mixture really well. If you want to add a little liquid smoke to it, put in a few drops, but we're not going to do that today. Okay, let's add the marinade to our ribs, just like that. We'll slosh it around a little bit, seal it up, and we'll take it to the refrigerator. Come our grilled ribs, prepared with Aioli Italian marinade. There you have it. Next, let's make smoked ribs. We'll use a smoker oven for this. I have 2 of my racks of ribs in a marinator, to which I'm going to add half a cup of sugar and about 1/4 of a cup of salt. So put some minced garlic in it. That's going to give it a nice flavor. We just top this off with water. That's good. Now I'll just put on the lid and we'll let this sit for about 3 or 4 hours. Okay, now we have our ribs out of that brining solution, and we're putting them on this aluminum disposable cookie sheet, so it also help keep your smoker oven a little bit cleaner. So next I'm going to sprinkle on a dry rub. This has got quite a bit of salt in it, so I'm not going to put it on too heavy. Salt, paprika, just about every herb and spice I have in my spice rack goes into this. And now we'll go put it out in our smoker. Okay, here go our ribs into the smoker. I'm starting off with a cold smoker, and I've used 2 pieces of apple wood down in the smoker box. And we're going to set it to 250 degrees. That should get us a really nice smoke. Okay, it's been about 4 hours now. It's time for us to check on our ribs. Look at the smoke coming out of there. Oh, we're going to have smoked ribs for dinner tonight. Okay, we've got our ribs in now. Let's take a look at them. We'll just slice right into this one. Oh boy. Smoked baby back ribs. Bon appetit.